This is Kardec Radio for Teens.
And now it's time for Message from a Teen in the Spirit World with your hosts, Mark Smith and Carol Correan.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to another Message from a Teen in the Spirit World. When we last left Carlos, he had just enrolled in his first school of a spiritual nature. This time, rather than studying the subjects that we are used to here on earth to develop intellectual understanding of important subjects, we see Carlos becoming more aware of his and others' emotional needs. Isn't it beautiful, dear friends, that it became already apparent to us that because the schools in the spiritual realm are schools for the soul, they focus more on our emotional well-being first and foremost rather than anything else? How beautiful is that already on the first day of class, Carlos was able to observe his emotions, observe the emotions of others, learn to tell the difference between what he was feeling and what others were feeling, and then learn to manage his emotions lovingly. How beautiful is that the schools of a spiritual nature allow for all of us to develop not only intellectual understanding of important subjects, but also emotional and spiritual intelligence. The schools in the spiritual realms, dear friends, truly are there to nourish our souls as immortal spirits that we all are. And this time we are going to see the nature of the lessons that Carlos receives in those schools. Are you curious, dear friends? Let us hear from Carlos the kind of lessons that he is now receiving as an immortal spirit in the schools dedicated to children in the spiritual realm. Lessons. Of course, you will ask how we go about our schoolwork. And right now, I will tell you that work of this nature in our spirit complex is almost identical to that in a school on the earth. There is an assorted and huge quantity of instructional material, including texts and workbooks. The approach that teachers use, however, is quite different. They don't only teach, they watch over us, comfort and guide us. For example, I'm enrolled in a course on good behavior and emotional correction. I have noticed that the teachers don't neglect the intellectual aspect per se, but they are also interested in preparing us to understand the conditions relating to our new lives here. To do so, they make use of what we already accomplished while on earth. They don't upset us with premature revelations or with demonstrations that may alter our emotional stability. As a starting point, they take the experiences we have already acquired and help us to develop them gradually, without harm to our most pleasant thoughts. I get the impression that teachers here take our earthly knowledge as seeds of heavenly knowledge, so they don't overpower us with a weighty exposition of their own knowledge. They surround us with special attention and care, so that our higher faculties will sprout and grow. What is really surprising, though, is the parental watch care that these selfless guides show us with a view to awakening our highest ideals. To this end, the introductory course to the higher level classes is full of topics regarding the spiritual improvement we have to accomplish. Many hours are needed for carefully studying issues such as: what do you think about Christ? How do we receive the favors of nature? What are we doing with our lives? What are the objectives of our personal endeavor? What ideas do we nourish regarding time and opportunity? What is the course of our thoughts? Are we utilizing for the good the instruments and abilities that the Lord of Life has entrusted to us? Such topics, examined initially by our teachers in profitable classes of spiritual renewal, during which we disclose our thoughts to each other through serene and honest stories, shed light on who we are and show us the extent of our needs because of the selfishness, indifference, and laziness in which we have lived for so long in the earthly realms. Dear friends, how are you feeling right now? Excited? Surprised? Shocked? Fascinated? It is quite fascinating, isn't it, to realize that the loving heart of our Creator is so all-encompassing that in His loving heart He finds room to lovingly support all of us through the watch care of loving guides that are like parents to all of us, but who prioritize always our spiritual and emotional growth. How beautiful it is to know that these more experienced and enlightened minds are at this very moment watching over us and inspiring us to look inwards like Carlos is beginning to do, to examine our journeys, our choices, our steps, our decisions, our feelings, our thoughts from the perspective of an immortal spirit. Why? Because they, as Carlos has revealed to us, not only work with the seeds of intellectual knowledge that are within all of us, but they also work to sprout in our hearts and souls the seeds of heavenly knowledge. How beautiful is that the Creator loves us so much that He offers Carlos and each and every one of us spiritual guides or mentors who are like loving fathers, tutors, companions, teachers, to inspire us, to allow the seeds of heavenly knowledge to grow within ourselves. Beautiful to know, dear friends, that the presence of the Creator can be ever felt through these beautiful loving messengers of hope and kindness that He purposefully, thoughtfully, and lovingly assigns to each and every one of us. But at this point, dear listener, you may be asking yourself, how may I, as an immortal spirit, live my life as an incarnate being at the moment and still remind myself that this life is but a temporary experience in which I am being prepared to love and serve all the more? Do I have reminders? I don't remember who I was in previous lives, and I still don't know what exactly or who exactly I wish to be or God wishes me to be. So how to know? Luckily, dear friends, through Carlos, we see that in the spiritual realm there are classes designed to point us to that very direction, to help us to achieve our highest abilities. And there are specific questions that we can ask ourselves every day to recalibrate ourselves and to remind us that we are indeed immortal spirits. Let us go through the questions together. First question: what do we think about Christ? Is Christ for us, dear friends, a religious figure, a savior, or an educator, a friend who is willing, ready, and able to walk with us side by side in the journey through life? Are we in turn ready, willing, and able to ask Him for support and inspiration? Are we ready, willing, and able to see Him as our loving Master? How willing are we? Second question for us to take into consideration is very straightforward and very profound at the same time. The question is, what are we doing with our lives? What are the objectives of our personal endeavor? In other words, dear friends, which GPS are we using as we guide ourselves through this current reincarnation? Are we referring to the GPS of material comfort, where we look for objects to buy, electronics to have, certain clothing to wear, where we look to fit in and fulfill our material goals more so than anything else? Or are we using the GPS in life that allows us to reflect upon who we are as immortal spirits and sincerely align our choices with choices that will allow us to nourish our souls and not only our physical bodies? Are we looking for instant gratification, for the next game to play? Or are we looking to truly examine ourselves and make important changes and efforts to modify habits that are conditioned in us? Third question for us to take into consideration as we look into ourselves: what ideas do we nourish regarding time and opportunity? The Spirit Emmanuel, an illuminated mind that guided our dear Chico Xavier, and who prolifically wrote many books enlightening our souls, tells us in the book Thought and Life that thought is literally life, dear friends. That every day we wear our thoughts around ourselves, and those thoughts allow us to reap whatever we harvest. So you can do a test, dear friend. At times when you are really thinking of someone, that person seemingly randomly shows up at your doorstep, or gives you a phone call, or sends you a text, and you say, "Weird, I was just thinking of you." Well, guess what? According to the universal laws of life, thought is life. So whatever we think, we are. Therefore, are we looking at our lives from the perspective of, again, instant gratification, going from celebration to celebration, or are we looking inwards and saying to ourselves, this time I'm going to make an effort to get out of my old conditionings and get away from distractions that tend to pull me away from my true self? How am I using my time towards achieving acquisitions for the soul? Another question that we can ask ourselves to educate ourselves for immortality, dear friends, is, what is the course of my thoughts? I am a living being, and my thinking becomes true living force that I send out to others and that I breathe in and live around for myself. So am I creating a dark, critical, harsh world within? Or am I seeking to literally elevate my life so as to reach my highest potentials? But I don't have a model. I don't know what to do. Well, look at Jesus. Jesus is the model. And once, dear friends, through account, when Jesus the Master was walking with his apostles from a township to another township, they all saw a dog that was already dead and decaying. And all the apostles didn't even want to look at that dog. They felt disgusted by it. But Jesus, having been trained through many lifetimes to see the good, mold the good, think the good, and feel the good, reminded the apostles, wow, this dog had beautiful teeth. So when we undergo a situation, what is our immediate response? To focus on the glass half full or the glass half empty? If we focus on the glass half empty, shall we try, dear friends, to replace our thoughts, negative thoughts, with more positive ones? Perhaps by saying, I love and approve of myself, we will already be guiding our souls towards a more loving direction, which we all deserve because we are all children of God. So that's something to consider. And last question for us to take into consideration is, are we utilizing for the good the instruments and abilities that the Lord of life has entrusted to us? Even when we are doing the most mundane things, dear friends, like washing the dishes, for example, or making our bed or taking a shower, are we utilizing that time, that opportunity, that ability to use our physical body for the good? Are we using our thoughts and bodies in a synchronized way to send out positivity to ourselves and to others? Now that we've looked at these questions that can literally nourish our souls and help us recalibrate ourselves, you, dear friend, may be thinking, but this is not for me. This is kind of hard. This is something that maybe only Jesus can do. Well, luckily, we don't have to be perfect. Like Kardec says in the Spirit Book, the only and most important characteristic of a true spiritist is that she looks into improving herself and ridding herself of her less positive tendencies. So how may we start, dear friends? Well, one little thought at a time. How about setting a goal to at least do our best to change our thought patterns 5 times in a day? That already allows us to share 5 beacons of light with everyone around us. So let us practice now to put that goal into action. Prayer, dear friends, is love into action. Love put into action, as said the wise and beautiful Mother Teresa. So right now, dear friends, we don't need to wait. We can put our action plan into practice. Let us once again unite our hearts, unite our spirits. Thank the Creator for the opportunity of this beautiful incarnation. Thank the Creator for all the spirit mentors who lovingly support, guide us, and educate us for immortality. Let us thank the Creator for all the loving lessons that have been placed on our pathway, which are beautiful opportunities for us to practice new, healthier, more loving habits. Let us thank the Creator for the gift of ourselves, of our thoughts, of our feelings, of all the messages that we are able to send out to those whom we love and those around us in every moment of every day. Let us practice at this very moment to think of a beautiful white rose symbolizing peace and serenity. Let us visualize our own guardian angels or spirit mentors offering this flower to each and every one of us. Let us bring this flower close to our heart and let us inhale this beautiful perfume as the petals of serenity dissolve and become one with us. Let us now visualize another white rose being given to us, so that at this very moment we can practice sending an I love you to a person in our network that may be needing support even more than we do. Let us mentally tell them, you are loved and loving. You are a beautiful child of God. You are joy of living. And let us thank our mentors, guardian angels, for this beautiful moments of togetherness. And let us pray for the courage to continue nourishing our souls as we thank God once again for the joy of living. And until we meet again, dear friends, we all at Kardec Radio wish you many, many loving blessings.
This has been Kardec Radio for Teens. Thank you all for listening.